Welcome back to Identities, Umhlobo, where we're talking about the marriages bill today, something that has sent the whole nation into a frenzy, where we are suddenly talking about the things that we never usually ordinarily talk about. And before we went on the break, the bishop here, who prefers being called Misty Daves Kanokanga, was already talking about how the church is not happy with the civil partnership that the marriages bill is proposing to acknowledge. And before I went, and then he was talking about how the church is not happy of fornication. I'm like, there is fornication in the church by bishops, by pastors, which has been rampant. What are you talking about? You can chime in, Nompilo.
Well, I wanted to talk about it from a legal perspective, to say our constitution also acknowledges that we have freedom of conscience and freedom of religion.
Right.
But also at the same time, the law acknowledges that we are all entitled to equal protection of the law. And that means even those mfundisi that would like to enter into fornicatory or could become a port or immoral relationships, they're also entitled to protection of the law. They have property rights that also need to be protected at law.
Mufundisi ndabvunza nye fornication yagara kuti yamutotungamira mapasta noti chinazvo ini ndimuri kutena round muchiti hatikuita but muri kuita fornication kati machena chiona. What's up with that?
The thing is this: fornication is fornication regardless of who's doing it. It doesn't become right because some prophet, some apostle, someone is doing it.
Right.
The same applies to adultery. The church stance is that our laws should be subservient to biblical principles. They should reflect God's values. If we then have laws that are conflicting with God's laws, we create a problem for ourselves as a nation. We attract the wrath of God. And given where we are as a nation, we are in desperate need of divine help. And we are not going to get that help if we start coming up with laws that are contrary to biblical values. That's one challenge that the church has. So that's something that we need to look at. Now, when you look at the marriages bill, one of the observations that I have made is that if you look at clause 16 thereof, you'll find that it provides for unregistered customary law unions.
Yeah.
Now, these are unions where the man has paid lobola for his wife, but there is no marriage certificate that is issued. Now, the bill is silent when it comes to what happens to the property rights of parties in that union in the event of the dissolution of that union. It is speaking to civil partnerships, which are not even marriages. And the question then becomes, how can you be protecting that which is not a marriage, and then you leave exposed a recognized customary law marriage, which is the unregistered customary law
Is it a matter of this or the other, or it's a matter of we can talk about civil partnerships as an issue? Because I think one of the reasons we need to be very practical about Bishop is that it's a reality. We have extramarital affairs. We have children who pop up at the death of someone. Almost 80% or 90%, I don't know. It's a rampant problem in our society. That's why the government is trying to mitigate this. That's why I am coming from the viewpoint that why is the church suddenly worried about this? Why are we not addressing the root cause, women who remain vulnerable? But then also, you bring, for me, I think also it's a valid issue if those in the customary marriage are not catered for. And the beauty of this is this people can speak or have been speaking into this, but it's neither. It's not either this or that, or but maybe we can caution the people, right, Nompilo?
Maybe if I can come in there, Nyari, and say you'd find that unregistered customary law unions already have some sort of protection at law, because upon their dissolution, there's already a provision that you can institute proceedings for division of the property on the basis of general law principles of unjust enrichment and tacit universal partnership. But for persons who have been in civil partnerships, as they are recognized now in the bill, they have not had any sort of protection of that kind. And I think that is a development that would need to be accepted. Because I'll give you a scenario also. We'd find the problem that we are having with the bill, or that many are having, is the issue of whether or not a party is legally married. But you find there are people who have marriage certificates that are merely on paper, when they have since separated with their partners, and the partners would have moved on. So when partners move on and there's this other person who is now in existence, who has also acquired property, the law needs to come in and protect those people. They also need to be cushioned by the law, and despite that there is a marriage, because that marriage would just be on paper and technical anyway. So I think that scenario needs also to be taken into account when people are challenging the aspect of whether or not a person is legally married.
I think it's going to be a very interesting part to even administer that, because how do you show to say we started staying together at the state, this is where it starts. The question is, at what point do you consider, after how long, tikangogara tese ndikatenga TV yangu na fridge yangu tatova tese, because I think all those things are going to have to be accounted for. And I just want to come to you, Mfundis, because I hear there's also the issue of who is a marriage officer, and there are also concerns to say, so I hear there is the religious leaders can be marriage officers, the traditional leaders can be marriage officers. What are the issues there?
One of the things that the Marriages Bill is seeking to do is to bring about equality of marriages. We've got 3 types of marriages. The Marriage Act, Chapter 5.11, the Customary Marriages Act, Chapter 5.07, and the Unregistered Customer Law Union. Now, when these other 2, the Marriage Act, Chapter 5.11, the Customary Marriages Act, Chapter 5.07, dissolve, you apply the provisions of the Matrimonial Causes Act for purposes of the dissolution of the property. Why are you discriminating against the Unregistered Customer Law Union, where you are not invoking the provisions of the Matrimonial Causes Act, and you are saying, look at tacit universal partnership? Instead of protecting the Unregistered Customer Law Union, you are giving that protection to a civil partnership, which is not. But
that's where I said, is it an either this or that, or you can bring these issues together? It's not like there is lack of provision in that marriage bill or whatever. If you feel like the Customary Marriages Act is left out, I mean the customary unions are left out, you can speak for them and raise them, but it shouldn't take away from civil partnerships if there is a problem there.
Right. Here's something that we need to understand is this. When a law is crafted, the idea is to cure some mischief. Now, you don't cure a mischief through another mischief. If you do that, you become mischievous yourself.
We are going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to dig deeper into this mischievous and mischief. You stay with us.